Hello. I got an email this a couple weeks ago from my insurance actually for mental health awareness. And if you know me, you know that I have things like anxiety and depression and stuff. And I just thought that the email was very helpful, and so I would like to share some of those things with you. Um, so it was called the five things that zap your mental health and things you can do to restore it. I've added some of my own ideas as well. So without further ado, five things that hurt mental health. Um, a lot of times we just don't. Excuse me. A lot of times we just don't really take care of these things. And the problem with mental health issues is if you don't take care of it, you're not going to get any better. You're only going to continue to get worse. You might never be 100%, but if you don't do anything, you definitely won't be any better. It's a lot like prayer. Um, if you don't ask God for something, you probably won't get it. Um, but anyways, okay. So five things that hurt mental health. Number one, the very first thing on the list, you slouch. Um, if you're anything like me, maybe you're on your computer a lot. Maybe you're on your computer a lot, and you just kind of when you're on it for long periods of time, sometimes you just eventually you just kind of get that, and then you have to straighten out, and you're like, ah. Now they have these cool little back braces that go onto your shoulders like little straps, and they help you to keep that posture. Um, more upstate instead of slouching. But you can also just use force of will. Like I will do this. You can have reminders that you have around your house. You can have reminders on your phone, like every 5 minutes or something like that. But that might annoy you. I don't know, whatever. Another thing is how you sleep can affect that. So if you do stuff to where your back is in a good, comfortable position, supported position at night, it'll make it easier during the day. If you are biking, but you are biking wrong, like you think, how can you bike wrong? Not having your bike adjusted to a proper fit. So you're sitting on your bike and the seat's too far forward or back, too high or too low. You're riding the wrong size of bike, that kind of stuff. It can really cause it to have a lot of back problems that shouldn't be there. And so little things like that, when you're doing things that aren't quite right, wearing the wrong kinds of shoes, a lot of little things like that can cause back pain that cause slouching to either be worse or to exist in the first place. So there's just a few ideas. What they suggested in the email was stand up straight, uh, and keep your outlook positive. Now that's easier said than done. Stand up straight. I just gave you a bunch of different ideas to do that, but keeping your outlook positive. I noticed that when you slouch, it's easier for your outlook to get negative. When you have that upright posture, it's a lot easier to just have a more positive outlook, to see things more on the bright side. Get used to the idea of solving problems instead of just complaining about your problems. Get used to not just sitting there and stewing about it and letting stuff work you up. And here's the thing about all this stuff: the more you practice, the more you'll get over it. Like you see people saying about how to get over procrastination, and then some people say, "Oh, you can't because no matter what you do, it'll do that." No, if you are a procrastinator or lazy or anything like that, it is a learned behavior, and you can reteach yourself. You can unlearn. But the problem is that we try it once or twice and we say, I can't do that. You've tried ways that didn't work. Try other ways. Try perseverance. Eventually, you will find a way that works. And that doesn't just apply to perseverance and being lazy and procrastinating and that stuff. It applies to stuff like this slouching. You didn't come out of the womb and just go, ugh. It was a learned behavior. You can work on it and get better at it. And the more you work on it, the more you'll advance with it. You can't honestly expect yourself to not practice something and still get the rewards of practicing it. It's just not going to happen. It's like an instrument. You don't just pick it up one day every year and you're an awesome player. No, you have to practice every day, and you have to keep correcting the wrong things that you're doing. And it's the same thing if you're trying to stop procrastinating, if you're trying to stop slouching. You have to take steps to correct that. So I hope that helps. The second thing of the five things that hurt your mental health, you don't exercise. Now, I found that people typically don't exercise because they don't do an exercise that they like. It's like I was talking to, I frequent a bike store by my house. It seems like I'm always in there, but it's because I like biking. Uh, but one thing that we were talking about is what people do is they think, I wonder if I like biking. So then they get a Walmart bike. And Walmart bikes are fine if you hate biking already, or if your love for biking is just so extreme that nothing can kill it. But the problem is that people say, I wonder if I like biking, and then they go and get a Walmart bike. And then because Walmart bikes are crap, they decide, no, I don't like biking. And the truth is they do like biking. It's just that they don't like riding a crappy bike. People think, oh, I don't want to invest too much in a bike. Well, here's the thing. Even the big names like, Trek, they have introductory level stuff on lots of different stuff. For instance, Trek has a road bike. If you want to get into road biking, they have a road bike called the AL Domain 2. It is a road bike. It might not have all the bells and whistles of, a $10,000 road bike, but it's under $1,000. It's like $800 and something dollars. That's fantastic for a road bike. They have a real basic mountain bike just for getting around town. You can go on trails with it. You can just ride around town with it. You can ride on the street with it. It really doesn't matter. You're not going to go real fast on the street, but you can get there. It's called the 820, the Trek 820. Really simple bike, very, very, very cheap. It's under $500. I don't remember the exact price. It's somewhere around $450 or so. And so it's not going to break your bank, but at the same time, you'll actually enjoy riding it. See, the problem is we go to Walmart and we say, oh, here's a $100 bike or whatever. And then it doesn't ride well. And so we say, oh, I don't like exercise. I don't like biking. But the truth is you don't like exercise a lot of times because you don't like that type of exercise. Here's what people do. A good example. I'm going to buy a treadmill. I don't like walking. I don't like running. I'm going to buy a treadmill and somehow I'm going to use it for something other than a clothes hanger. Instead of that, this is what you can do. Get 1 month gym membership and try out the different things. See if there's anything that you like. If you don't, cancel your gym membership and move on. Go and try a good bike. If you don't have money for even that, try a simple activity. Walking. Fast walking, if you can maintain at least 3 miles per hour, walking, you'll have a lot of health benefits. And then because you won't be jogging, you won't have a big jolt to your knees and stuff. So even if you're not healthy, if your knees are in bad shape, you can benefit from it. If you've got things like diabetes, it helps. Just a lot of little things like that. So instead of, I'm going to start exercising, find an exercise that you enjoy. And then second off, start instituting a plan of action to start doing that exercise. And the second reason why we don't exercise is because we expect that we're going to start a new behavior without changing anything of our behavior patterns. What do I mean? Well, it's like this. We say in the new year, this year I'm going to get fitter. Okay, how are you going to get fit? Well, I'm going to start being healthy. Okay, so what are you going to do to be healthy? Well, I'm going to start eating healthy. Okay, let's talk about that. How are you going to eat healthy? What is healthy? What does your body need? When will you eat? How will you, what steps are you going to take to make sure that you stick with it? See, little things like that where it's like we don't actually have a clear plan of action, but somehow we think we're going to get from point A to point B. Imagine this. I said, I want you to go to my friend Jerry's house. And I'm not going to give you any instructions. I'm not going to tell you what his last name is, nothing. You just have to randomly stumble upon his house. Good luck. Well, obviously you're not going to get there because you don't have a clear plan of action. You don't have a map. You don't have any kind of pointers. It's the exact same thing for exercise. So you have to find an exercise that you enjoy, and then you have to set up a plan of action to get there. Okay? So their step was a lot more basic. They just said, get active. Well, that's kind of unhelpful. One thing that you could do if you don't really want to exercise, which I strongly encourage exercising, it changes your whole outlook on life. But if you don't want to do that yet, okay, I know that's maybe a big step for some. One thing that you can do is have alarms on your phone to just break up the monotony. If you work at home on your computer, for instance, every hour have an alarm. Get up for 15 minutes and just walk around the house. You don't even have to go anywhere. Just walk around the house. Walk outside, walk around your yard if you have a yard. If you don't have a yard, walk down the street and walk back. Just something to get to where you're not constantly all the time in an inactive state. And then also, the more active you get, the more your thinking will change. And this comes out in two ways. Number one, it changes how you think. So when you exercise, for instance, you're going to be more driven in your thinking. You're going to not have as much time for the whining, complaining kind of attitude. You'll have more of a, let's do this. And it kind of builds that confidence too. There's just some examples. There's more ways that it changes how you think. But then the second thing that it does is it changes what you think about. For instance, maybe you're sitting in your house thinking about all the people that have wronged you, or how you hate your dad, or how nobody understands you, or how it's just so hard, or how you miss your friend, or you miss your mom, or whatever. When you're out and about, it's easier to process those feelings, process what you're thinking about, and then have other things that you think about. It's like this. When you play your music playlist, let's say you buy 2 CDs and you just sit at home and you don't ever go on the internet, you don't ever go look to see if there's any other music in the world. You just play those 2 CDs over and over again. It's the exact same thing with getting out. When you get out and get active, your brain has new things that it starts thinking about. It's like new songs that you find. You look at trees and you think, wow, that's pretty. I like trees. And then maybe you find a new hobby, botany. Or maybe you're walking around and you have a new hobby of bird watching. Things like that. So it changes how you think, and it changes what you think about. The third of the 5 things that hurt your mental health, you don't sleep. This is easier said than done. A lot of people don't sleep for a lot of different reasons. Some people don't sleep because they aren't exercising, so they aren't tired. Some people don't sleep because they're overtired, and so when they go to sleep, some people don't think because they have don't sleep because they have anxiety, and it just keeps them up at night. There's a lot of different reasons. Okay, so there's a few things you can do. First off, the whole exercise thing can be monstrously beneficial. Instead of watching TV all day, for instance, you can read a book that challenges you to think. And not just books that agree with what you already think. For instance, if you're a Democrat, maybe read a book by a Republican. If you're a atheist, read a book by a Christian. There's stuff like that. I'm not talking about just dumb books. I'm talking about books that will actually cause you to think. I'm not saying you have to accept everybody else's worldview and not point out the errors, but keeping your brain active instead of just sitting there and letting it vegetate. But there's a couple ideas that they said. First off, create a restful environment. Now that might be a little bit unhelpful, so let me kind of add on to that. Have a room where it's quiet, where it's dark, where maybe the blinds are covered or something, where you don't do your activity, your day-to-day activity, where you don't work. Maybe get a white noise machine, or just play the sound of rain in the background, or music in the background, just real soft kind of music. And your brain will kind of get used to the idea of this is a mellow place. So maybe you could change the paint in your bedroom. That's a great idea. Another thing you can do is have no screens in wherever it is that you sleep. No TV in there, no phone in there. I know, oh no, I'm going to die if I don't have my phone. Trust me, you won't. In fact, after a while, once you get through the panic and the uncertainty, you actually sleep a lot better than you used to. So no screens. Also, if you're getting, as if this is a new cycle, have it where you don't have screens like maybe like an hour before you go to bed, or 3 hours before you go to bed. No screens. That way, it kind of gets your brain the idea of, okay, we're getting ready for sleep. And not only that, but the action and the flashing and the screens and all that stuff, it wakes you up. Lights wake you up. And the thing is our brains are so saturated with technology all the time that when there's an absence, like we kind of get this dependence on it, kind of like an addictive kind of thing. In fact, they did a lot of studies, and screens are very addictive. And you kind of have to retrain your brain. So there's just a few ideas there. Screen protectors, I think it's called Blue Blocks. You can get these different glasses and glass covers and stuff that block some of those lights that cause the problem, such as I forget what it's called, but it's the blue light. It causes this retinal scarring. So anyways, another real quick thing you can do, go to bed with a clean conscience. What that means is resolve the conflicts that you can and let go of the ones that you can't. You can't get bitter and stuff and then expect to sleep well. You can't do that. Another thing is have a set place that is comfortable only for sleeping. Like, this is my bedroom. I only go in there to sleep. It's comfortable. It's ready for me. I don't have to go in there and worry about a big mess. It's clean. It's the bed is ready for me to sleep at night. And then another thing is have a set time. We are creatures of habit. So if you want to have a place you go to sleep, okay, at 9 o'clock or whatever your time, it doesn't matter. At 9 o'clock I go to sleep, and this is the place I do it. It'll in your brain it'll start connecting, and then you'll have an easier time. Sorry, I'm getting some text. You'll have an easier time going to sleep in the future. So the fourth of the 5 things that hurt your mental health, you're on the phone all day. Now, I know a lot of people who do all their business on their phone. What they suggested in this email was have a phone-free time of the day. I would take it a little bit further than that. I would say have phone-free days. Have phone-free times of the days. Have phone-free places, like for instance, when I'm spending time with my family or with my friends. Where you are able to connect more, and that'll help us with step number 5, which we'll get to in just a little bit. And then find things to do off of your phone, like maybe you're used to scrolling Facebook on your phone. Instead, delete Facebook from your phone. Whoa, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You'll be okay. You'll get through this. And then instead, use that time to read. Use that time to think. Use that time to meditate. Use that time to sleep. And you can use it to exercise. And you might think, I don't spend that much time on it. Here's the thing. Time accumulates. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, till eventually you're spending hours a day on something that you really shouldn't be spending that much time on. So with that being said, the next thing would be don't get caught by having everything on your phone. One of the things that people do is they have it where all their work gets done on their phone all the time. Whether it's for work or for pleasure, everything is connected on the phone. They do things like maybe read their Bible on their phone, maybe have their Facebook apps on their phone, maybe have their internet browsers and all these things on their phone, to where they never really get a break from their phone, and that causes even more time on it. And like I said, phone screens are addictive, so you just kind of get in this rut of always doing it over and over again. And then the last little step on that point is take breaks from your phone. Maybe if you have to be on your phone for an hour at a time, maybe take a break of 15 minutes or something every hour, so that way you can just give your eyes a break, give your brain a break, and you'll end up thinking clearer and that kind of stuff. So the 5th thing that hurts mental health. Hopefully, these have been of benefit to you. I really do hope so. I know that they helped me. I just kind of felt like maybe some of them were a little bit shallow, so I wanted to expand a little bit. So the 5th thing that hurts your mental health is you don't talk to anyone face to face. So the 5 things altogether: you slouch, you don't exercise, you don't sleep, you're on the phone all day, you don't talk to anyone face to face. Those are the 5 things, okay? So just a few more points to how to get over this 5th one. Now, I already mentioned in point number 4 that thing about with the phone that helps. So now let's add some more things to that. Make time for others. Maybe have a time where, okay, now I'm going to spend time with you. Another thing you can do is, if you have an activity, try to include them in that activity. Rather than going to the store by yourself, take one of your kids. And don't always take the same kid. You don't want your kids to think that you have a favorite. Even if you do. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so maybe try and include other people in your activities. Maybe ask your spouse or whatever to do it with you. Maybe try and do something, a hobby that your spouse does that maybe you could do too. Something like that. Another thing you can do is have a family day. So what we do is every day of the week, Thursday is our family day. That means I stop work, I just go and do stuff with my kids and with my wife, and we try and make it where everybody gets to have fun that day. Another thing is, a lot of times maybe people are cut off from their family or from their friends or whatever, or maybe they don't have any friends, maybe they died, maybe you had a quarrel or whatever. Here's the thing: you got to push yourself to make new friends. If you sit in your bubble, that's exactly what you'll have, and then you'll feel lonely and you'll be in a cocoon that you yourself made. Be willing to work out problems with people. You're going to have fights with people, but the problem is if you're wanting to mature and if you're wanting to have friends that last, you have to be willing to talk with them about it. That means some things you're just going to have to let go of. They do it, you don't like it, tough. And that means also that sometimes it's going to have to be a friendship where you can talk to them about this. Look, this really, really irritates me. Can we do something about this? And a friendships are really, any relationship is a give and a take. It's not all about me. It's not all about you. And when you find that place of finding someone who respects you and then serving them, you have a really strong friendship. But the problem is, what we do is we find people who think like who we find people that we like, and then we say they won't do that. Look at their track record. Do they have a track record of walking out on people? Do they have a track record of, typically speaking, not always, but typically speaking, people who have been divorced, especially multiple times, they'll have a little bit of a harder time with a long-term relationship. They'll have, whether we're talking about friendship or relationship, doesn't really matter. They'll kind of maybe have a little bit less, maybe be more guarded, maybe be less open, that kind of stuff. You really have to watch out for that kind of stuff. Don't just see what you want to see, but if you're pushing yourself to make new friends, and also here's another thing: if you're trying to find a relationship, first off, if you try and go looking for a relationship, you're typically going to get in a relationship that's not great. But if you are going to do that, find somebody who's good for something besides sex. A lot of times we get with somebody and we think they're hot, therefore I want to get with them, and the truth is, if you just stop and think about it, like, here's a good example. There was a girl that I thought, man, she's really attractive. And then I stopped and I started thinking about all the different arguments that we would have about stuff. They can't stand this. I love that. They would never drop that. I would hate that. They have to always have things their way. I'm more of just go with the flow. And you see what I mean? It's just, there's a lot of things that we would have problems with, and that's okay. That's okay. They're still my friend and all that. It's just that I realized, before I ever started something, this would not be a good fit. We would have maybe 1 or 2 great nights of sex, and that would be the end of that. I mean, the friendship would be ruined, and there's a lot of people who don't think that far in advance. They think, I'm horny, therefore I must. And the truth is, no, bad idea. That has bad idea written all over it. You don't have to be in a relationship. Your happiness is not based on being in a relationship, and your self-worth cannot be based on a relationship. That can't exist. That's not healthy. So if we're talking about mental health, it's just not healthy. So when you're finding a new friend, I hope that these kind of pointers help you out there. We as people need community. We need contact with people. That's something that, we just need it. A lot of studies have shown, and I'm not going to really get into them, but have shown how contact with people helps blood flow to your body. Community helps you live stronger, live longer, helps you to feel more accomplished and have purpose and that kind of stuff. So those are just a few ideas. So those are 5 things that hurt your mental health and just some ideas about how to fix some of them. I hope that was helpful, and I will see ya.